There has been another mass shooting that has happened in Minneapolis, Minnesota, and it has happened twice in the same day. Welcome to the Jaybefaunt channel. I am your host, James Fauntleroy. Let's get into this story here. This is a tragic turn of events that have happened within the city of Minneapolis as of 2 days ago. There was a mass of people who were shot in cold blood in the city of Minneapolis, just hours apart in two areas where homeless people are encamped. Let's take a look at this also right now. There are going to be going into some subsequent details about this story, but let's get the overview right here.
Following in Minneapolis this morning, more than a dozen people shot in just 12 hours.
Two mass shootings blocks away from each other. The first shooting happened at the transit center at Lake and Stevens around noon. Then just before 10 last night, another shooting inside a homeless encampment at East Lake Street and 28th Avenue South. Audrey Russo's live at City Hall this morning with what we're learning overnight. Audrey.
Police and the mayor speaking just hours ago, saying that this is the last straw for this homeless encampment on private property. They say the city plans to clear it once the criminal investigation is through, wrapping up likely sometime tomorrow morning. Now, the investigation, which you see here, started around 10 o'clock last night when an off-duty officer at Target was approached by people reporting these gunshots coming from Lake Street. Now, officers found 5 people shot at the encampment, and another 3 from that property turned up at hospitals later on. Now, 4 people are seriously hurt, including 3 men and 1 woman. The city has been trying to remove this encampment for months. And unlike setups on public property, they can't clear it without the cooperation of the property owner, Hamoudi Sabri. Just last week, the city council approved the filing of a lawsuit against Sabri, with officials claiming his property poses a public health risk.
This is a whole lot worse than a nuisance. This is an open danger. The neighborhood deserves better. We will be clearing this encampment immediately after the crime scene has been investigated and taken care of. If he wants to sue us, he can. If he wants to take this up in court, that is certainly his prerogative, but this is not safe.
The mayor there, of course, referring to Sabri, the property owner. Now, the police chief echoed the mayor's sentiment, saying that a lot of officer resources have been tied up in this particular area, such that they've needed to ask for additional help from the governor and the Hennepin County Sheriff's Office. I've got more on that coming up in about a half hour, but for now.
So we're going to stop right there. And one of the things that I actually want to draw attention to in regards to this story is, here's my question. All these resources that are being redirected by police, what if these resources were directed to house the homeless so they wouldn't be vulnerable to things like being shot en masse within the city? Would they still be alive if they at least had that barrier of being housed? Why do people sleep out on the streets? Is it because they just do not want to change? Or is it because there's other barriers, other hoops you have to go through in order to be able to be housed? I think we should have a conversation with the people who are unhoused ourselves and see that it's not as black and white as some people try to claim it to be. Many people have issues with the way shelters are ran. Sometimes these shelters are not protective of especially people like homeless women. Some of these shelters are filled with people who they don't monitor the mental health of the people who are in these shelters. And a lot of these people who have mental health issues that are in the shelters, they do not have the health care to be able to treat their mental health issues. And also the mental health issues are exacerbated by being homeless. On top of that, they also make it rules so that you have to, a lot of these homeless shelters are ran by religious organizations. And so therefore you have to worship who they worship the way they worship in order to be able to be housed. When in reality, not everybody has the same types of beliefs. So you're forcing more people into a particular box in order to be able to have housing. So people are jumping through hoops in order to be housed while under duress, instead of doing what many countries have done, particularly socialist countries, and even some socially democratic countries not Norway, but ones like Finland, that have actually done what we call a housing first model. And so these models make it so that you get housing no matter what, because you're a human being, and everything else falls into place. But unfortunately, within this country, within this individualistic culture, we believe that you have to jump through hoops in order to be able to have a basic necessity for living. And you should have to have it paywalled in order for you to be able to live, which is really contrary to what nature really tells us. And so now you have all these lives that are lost within the city, and instead of the resources housing them, is being given to cops in order to be able to enforce the laws against the same people who are the victims of a system that is based on exploitation. Now, let's continue in this report.
I'll send things back to you.
All right, we will talk to you then. Audrey Russo reporting live this morning. Thank you. Now to the first shooting yesterday that happened in broad daylight just before noon at the transit center at Lake and Stevens. Right now, one man is in critical condition. 4 others are expected to survive. City officials are calling for more collaboration to make the area safer. Minneapolis City Council member Jamal Osman, whose ward touches the area where this happened, says addressing crime needs everyone involved, including the city council, police, and MnDOT. He says the area has seen issues with people gathering when they shouldn't be, and everything needs addressing if they want to solve the issue of crime in the area.
Are they getting the addiction treatment they deserve? That's our way. But when it comes to enforcing the law, it falls under the mayor's office, and also if you are responsible under the bridge, which is MnDOT, it falls on you.
The city put up fences to block the area off. We checked with police overnight, and no arrests have been made in this shooting.
So that is what has been happening within Minneapolis. I would actually like just to go a little bit deeper, if we can, so that we can get more of a bird's eye view of exactly what's happened within the city of Minneapolis. Let's take a look at this article here. It says 13 people hurt in 2 mass shootings at Minneapolis homeless encampments on the same day. The blurb says police are investigating a possible connection between the 2 shootings. Let's get into this. It says at least 13 people have been found wounded, 5 critically, in 2 shootings that have erupted over a span of 12 hours at a homeless encampments in Minneapolis, with the city's mayor saying he wouldn't be surprised if they are connected. The shootings on Monday marked the 4th and 5th mass shootings to occur in Minneapolis in the past 3 weeks, including one on August 27 at Annunciation Catholic School that left 2 children dead and 21 people injured. Minneapolis Police Chief Brian O'Hara said that the city's latest mass shootings unfolded Monday night as a notorious homeless encampment in southeast Minneapolis, in which 8 people were shot and an estimated 30 shots were fired. O'Hara said the shooting at the homeless encampment in South 28th Avenue and East Lake Street occurred around 10 p.m. local time. He said an officer working at a Target store nearby was approached by multiple people running and telling him that there was gunfire at the encampment. Upon arrival, officers found 5 people wounded, including 2 people, a man and a woman, discovered inside tents suffering from bullet wounds to the head. He said 3 other gunshot victims showed up at hospitals on their own. O'Hara said that at least 4 victims had life-threatening gunshot wounds. The chief said multiple shell casings were recovered from the scene, leading investigators to believe that someone inside the encampment exchanged gunfire with the shooter who targeted the encampment. O'Hara said that in addition to the shooting, a fire broke out in one of his tents while police were on the scene, and that firefighters were called to extinguish the blaze. No arrests have been announced in the shooting. So this is really horrible. And this really just goes into the conversation about protecting American lives. whether they are housed or not. And unfortunately, within the country, within the capitalist system, there are different tiers that are attributed to different people as far as the value of their life. Those who have uh, affluent lives, obscene amounts of money, their lives are seen as more valuable than the ones who are victims of the impoverished system, victims of austerity and poverty within the capitalist system that we live in. And so because they are victims of that, they're seen as less than. Their lives are seen as more expendable. And so therefore, when things like this happen, is there an outrage? There was more outrage over children at a Catholic school being shot en masse than there was of a homeless encampment. Do I think that it should be more outrage over a homeless encampment versus children? No. I'm saying there should be just as much outrage at the homeless encampment as there was in the school shooting at a Catholic school just a couple weeks prior. The point is that a life is a life and does not have one value more than the other when it comes to the life of a homeless person versus the life of a child. That person is still someone that is loved. That person's life still matters. That person, no matter whether they're a child or a homeless person, they still have hopes, dreams, fears, thoughts, love. They still have these things. And a life is still a life. And so for anybody who says that they value life, if you're not as outraged about this, or if you're just flippant about an encampment of homeless people being shot en masse, then I question you to take a look in the mirror and realize what's really in your heart. Do you really value life on an equal level? One person who made it abundantly clear that they do not value life on an equal level is Brian Kilmeade of Fox News. I reported on this back on Sunday, earlier this week on RBN, about Brian Kilmeade's genocidal language towards homeless people. And we can go back over that once again to remind people of what Brian Kilmeade said.
Billions of dollars to mental health and the homeless population. A lot of them don't want to take the programs. A lot of them don't want to get the help that is necessary. You can't give them a choice. Either you take the resources that we're going to give you, or you decide that you're going to be locked up in jail. That's the way it has to be now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why?
I want to go over that again.
Now.
Or involuntary lethal injection or something. Just kill them.
Yeah, Brian, why did it happen?
That is the biggest issue. Is that someone like a Brian Kilmeade basically had the same view of a mass shooter. And yet, people have more outrage over what Jimmy Kimmel said. This is the incongruence in this country. And literally calling for the mass euthanasia of homeless people, homeless Americans, should spark to anyone that we are in a nation ran by villains, and it does not matter about party affiliation. I want you to really sit with this and think about people like Brian Kilmeade and his value of life. If he's willing to say this outwardly from his heart, then is he really that much different than a mass shooter who kills people in homeless encampments. Now, Brian Kilmeade later, after the backlash, issued an apology. But that apology sounds, in my opinion, very hollow, almost like he had to apologize in order to be able to keep his job. But make no mistake, I do think that what Brian Kilmeade said initially right here was exactly how he really felt. And so for those of us who really actually value life, we are at a turning point right now. And this turning point is we have to do what we can in order to protect not just ourselves, but have solidarity with our neighbors, including homeless, so that we can protect each other because we save us. Because as mouthpieces for the empire, like Brian Kilmeade, that was a mask off moment. And for many of us, we have long known that this country has been fascist since its inception. Fascism has been affecting Native Americans and Black Americans ever since the beginning. For us, fascism is a Tuesday. And so now that it is affecting more broad scope of Americans, now they are waking up to what we have always known, is that this country is in a deep decline and it is taking out as many people as it can on its way out. So thank you very much for everybody for tuning in for this. I hope you guys all have a wonderful day and continue to keep fighting against the system so that we can have something that is new and that hopefully will be equal, equitable, and egalitarian. Thank you so much for watching, and I appreciate it from the top and bottom of my heart. If you'd like to see any more, you can look here. One, forehead kisses.